In 1958, an entire village disappeared beneath mysterious fog. No survivors. No explanation. Years later, Ethan followed the only clue left behind by his missing brother. But deep inside the fog, Hollow Village was still there.
Rain tapped softly against the windshield as Ethan Carter drove deeper into northern countryside roads that seemed forgotten by time. His GPS had stopped working nearly an hour ago. The last gas station he passed was over 50 miles behind him. Now, only endless trees and thick, grey skies surrounded the narrow road ahead. On the passenger seat lay an old photograph. It showed Ethan standing beside his older brother, Daniel. 3 weeks ago, Daniel had vanished. No calls, no mensajes, no trace. Only one strange clue remained. A handwritten postcard mailed days after Daniel disappeared. I found the village. Ethan, something is wrong here. Don't come after me. There was no return address. Only 2 words. Hollow Village. Ethan tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Where the hell are you, Daniel? He whispered. Thunder rumbled above. Then suddenly, the road disappeared into fog. Not normal fog. This fog moved strangely, slowly, almost intentionally. Ethan slowed the car. Ahead, barely visible through the white mist, stood an old wooden sign leaning sideways. Hollow Road 7 miles. As he drove forward, his headlights caught movement. Someone was standing beside the road. An old man. Motionless. Ethan stopped the car. The man wore a dark raincoat and held an oil lantern that flickered despite the lack of wind. You're heading toward Hollow Village, the old man said quietly. It wasn't a question. Ethan stepped out. Have you heard of it? I'm looking for my brother. The old man stared at the photograph. His face turned pale. You should turn around. Ethan frowned. The old man slowly lifted his lantern toward the growing fog. Because when the fog comes down, it bows. The forest suddenly became silent. No insects. No birds. Nothing. Then the old man whispered, Don't follow the voices. A cold breeze swept across the road. Ethan looked away for only a second. When he looked back, the old man was gone. Only the lantern remained, still burning, alone beside Hollow Road. And deep inside the fog, someone whispered Ethan's name. Ihsan.
The old man was gone. Ethan stood frozen beside his car, rain dripping from his jacket, while the lantern flickered. Alone in the middle of Hollow Road, his heart pounded. Just seconds ago, the man had been standing there. Now, nothing. Only fog. Then it came again. Ethan. The voice drifted softly through the trees. His brother's voice. Ethan turned quickly. Daniel? Silence. Only the sound of rain hitting dead leaves. He grabbed the lantern. The metal felt strangely warm, almost as if someone had been holding it moments ago. Ethan returned to his car and continued driving. 7 miles. That was what the sign said. But after 20 minutes, the road never changed. The same twisted trees, the same broken guardrail, the same abandoned mailbox. Again, and again, and again. Ethan checked his fuel gauge. Half a tank gone. Something isn't right. Then suddenly, the fog parted, and he saw it. A village. Small wooden houses. Dim yellow lights glowing behind curtains. Smoke rising from chimneys. Hidden deep inside endless mist. At the entrance stood another sign. Welcome to Hollow Village. Below it, someone had scratched words into the wood. Don't stay after dark. Ethan stepped out slowly. The village felt wrong. Too quiet. No dogs barking. No children playing. No voices. Just dozens of windows. Watching. An old woman sweeping outside stopped moving when she saw him. A man carrying firewood froze. Two children standing near a well slowly backed away. Everyone stared, like outsiders never came here, or weren't supposed to. Ethan approached a middle-aged man near a small store. "Excuse me," Ethan asked. "I'm looking for my brother." He showed the photograph. The man's face immediately changed. Fear. Real fear. "Where did you get that picture?" "That's my brother." The man looked around nervously, then whispered, "You should leave before sunset." Ethan frowned. Why does everyone keep saying that? The man pointed toward the fog surrounding the village. It was moving, slowly, like waves. Then Ethan noticed something strange. No roads leading out. He turned around. The road he came from was gone. Only fog remained, deep, endless, and swallowing everything behind him. Fog rolled slowly between the houses of Hollow Village, not drifting, moving, as if it knew where it wanted to go. Ethan tightened his grip around the lantern while villagers continued staring from windows and doorways. No one smiled. No one welcomed him. A cold breeze swept through the empty street. Then, dong! A bell echoed somewhere deep inside the village. Low, heavy, ancient. Every villager froze. The man carrying firewood dropped everything and hurried home. Children disappeared inside houses. Wastelands shut one after another. Within seconds, the village became empty. Ethan looked around. What's happening? The middle-aged man from earlier grabbed Ethan's arm. You need shelter now. Before Ethan could answer, the man pulled him toward a small wooden house near the center of the village. Inside, the room was dimly lit by candles. An elderly woman sat beside a fireplace, silently sewing. She looked at Ethan, then at the lantern. Her expression changed. You brought his lantern. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? No answer. The man locked the door, then locked it again and again. 3 locks, 3 heavy chains. Ethan stared. Why are you locking everything? The man finally turned, his face pale, because night was coming. Outside, the fog thickened, pressing against windows, almost alive. Ethan pulled out the photo of Daniel. My brother came here. I know he did. The elderly woman slowly reached for the photo. Her hands trembled. He arrived 12 nights ago. Ethan's heart stopped. You saw him. She nodded once. Then where is he? Silence. The fire crackled. Then the man finally spoke. In Hollow Village, we only have one rule. Another bell echoed outside. Dong. The woman whispered. Never leave your house after the bell rings. Ethan frowned. That's it. The man stepped closer. His voice dropped. No. He pointed toward the window, toward the growing fog outside. And no matter what you hear ... A soft knock suddenly came from outside the door. 3 knocks. Slow. Heavy. Everyone inside froze. Then a voice came from outside. A familiar voice. Ethan. His blood turned cold. It was Daniel. The elderly woman immediately blew out every candle. Darkness swallowed the room. Then she whispered, Your brother died before he arrived. Darkness swallowed the cottage. No candles. No fire. Only silence. Ethan stood frozen. Outside the wooden door, 3 more knocks echoed slowly. Knock. 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 Then Daniel's voice returned. Soft. Almost pleading. Ethan, open the door. Every muscle in Ethan's body tightened. That's him, Ethan whispered. The elderly man immediately grabbed Ethan's arm. No, that's my brother. The old woman shook her head. Terror filled her eyes. They always sound like someone you love. A cold chill crawled down Ethan's spine. Outside, the voice changed. Now closer. right beside the window. "Please, I'm cold." Ethan slowly turned. Fog covered the glass completely, but behind it, a shadow moved, human-shaped, standing unnaturally still. The lantern Ethan carried suddenly flickered, once, twice, then went dark. The knocking stopped. Silence. Then, a scratching sound, slowly dragging across the wall outside, around the house, moving toward the back window. Ethan's breathing became heavier. "What is out there?" The old man answered quietly. "We don't say their names." Another sound came. Tap, 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 from the window. The old woman covered her ears. "Don't look." But Ethan already had. Outside the glass, someone stood in the fog, wearing Daniel's jacket. Same height, same face, same eyes, except his smile was wrong. Too wide, far too wide. Daniel raised one hand slowly, then pointed behind Ethan. Ethan turned instantly. Nothing. When he looked back, the figure outside was gone. Only thick fog remained. Then from upstairs, a floorboard creaked. Everyone inside froze. The old man whispered. It got inside. Nobody moved. The cottage remained silent after the old man whispered those words. It got inside. Ethan stared toward the staircase disappearing into darkness. Old wood creaked above them. Slow, heavy, like someone walking barefoot. Step, step, step. The old woman grabbed a small necklace hanging around her neck and whispered something under her breath. "What is upstairs?" Ethan asked. The old man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached for an old hunting rifle hanging above the fireplace. "You stay here." Before Ethan could protest, the man slowly climbed the stairs. Each step groaned beneath his weight. The sounds above stopped. Complete silence. Then, bang! A door upstairs slammed shut. The old man rushed back down, his face pale. "There's nothing there." Ethan frowned. "But we heard." "I said there's nothing there." The way he said it ended the conversation. Hours passed. Rain continued outside. Fog pressed against the windows like living smoke. No one slept. Near midnight, Ethan noticed old framed photographs covering one wall. Dozens of children. Boys, girls, different ages. All black and white. All smiling. And beneath every picture, a date. Ethan walked closer. His stomach dropped. Every photo ended the same way. Missing. He counted. 20, 30, 40, maybe more. "What are these?" The old woman looked away. The man finally answered. "Children. From Hollow Village." He nodded. Ethan stared. "How many disappeared?" The old man whispered. "Enough that we stopped counting." Thunder shook the house. The candles flickered. The old woman slowly stood and walked toward an old wooden chest near the fireplace. From inside, she pulled out a worn journal. Its cover was cracked with age. She handed it to Ethan. "This belonged to the bellkeeper." Ethan opened it carefully. Most pages were damaged, but one entry remained readable. October 14th, 1958. The fog returned tonight. 3 children followed voices into the forest. None came back. We must keep the bells ringing. The fog only takes those who answer it. Ethan's hands shook slightly. Then he turned another page. A photograph fell out. His breath stopped. It was Daniel, standing beside the village well, taken recently. On the back, written with shaky handwriting, "The children are still here." Suddenly, outside the window, children started laughing, soft, distant, coming from inside the fog. The old woman immediately blew out the candles and whispered, "Don't let them know you heard them." Morning arrived quietly, too quietly. No birds, no wind, no voices, only fog. Thick white fog covered Hollow Village like a blanket that refused to leave. Ethan woke sitting beside the fireplace. The old couple were already awake. Neither looked like they had slept. "You heard them too," Ethan said. The old woman slowly nodded. "The children always come when someone new arrives." Ethan looked toward the window. Outside, the fog had not moved. It waited. The old man unlocked the door carefully. One chain, then another, then the last. As the door opened, cold air rushed inside. Ethan stepped outside. The village looked empty again. No villagers, no smoke from chimneys, nothing. Then he saw them. Footprints, small footprints, crossing the muddy road. Dozens of them, like children had walked through the village during the night. Ethan crouched, fresh, still wet. Where did these lead? The old man immediately answered, "Nowhere you should go." But Ethan was already following them, past the village well, past abandoned houses, toward the forest behind Hollow Village. The fog thickened with every step. Soon the village disappeared behind him. Only trees remained, tall, black, twisted. Then Ethan noticed something strange. The footprints changed. No longer small, no longer human. Long, thin, deep marks pressed into the mud like something with too many joints had walked there. Ethan stopped. His heartbeat quickened. Ahead, a child stood between the trees, small, wearing old clothes, facing away from him. "Hey," Ethan called. The child didn't move. Ethan stepped closer. The child slowly lifted one arm, pointing deeper into the forest, towards something hidden in fog. Ethan followed the direction and froze. Between the trees stood dozens of wooden poles, each pole covered with old photographs, children, missing villagers, faded faces, and hanging in the center, Daniel's jacket. Cold wind swept through the forest. Then Ethan heard it, laughing. Not one child, many, surrounding him. He turned back toward the child. Gone. Only footprints remained, leading deeper and deeper into the fog. Then a bell echoed from the village. Dong. One ring. The old man's warning suddenly returned to Ethan's mind. If you hear the bell during daylight, run. Behind him, branches snapped. Something large moved between the trees. Branches snapped behind Ethan. Once, twice, closer. He ran. Fog swallowed the forest around him while roots and broken branches caught his feet. Behind him, something moved fast between the trees. Too fast. Ethan didn't dare look back. The bell rang again. Dong. Louder now. Almost desperate. Through the fog, he finally saw village houses ahead. He rushed forward, then stopped. The village was empty. Completely empty. Doors open. Windows moving slowly in the wind. No villagers. No voices. Nothing. Hello. No answer. Only the bell. Again. Dong. Ethan followed the sound. Past abandoned homes. Past the old well. Toward the tallest structure in Hollow Village. The bell tower. It stood at the edge of the village like a dark skeleton. Old wood. Broken windows. Rotting stairs leading upward. At the entrance hung strange symbols carved into the walls. Circles. Eyes. Children's handprints. And one sentence carved repeatedly. Keep the fog out. Ethan pushed the door open. The inside smelled of dust and wet wood. A spiral staircase climbed into darkness. As he stepped upward, he noticed photographs nailed to the walls. Hundreds. Villagers. Children. Strangers. All missing. All connected with red string. Then Ethan froze. One photo was new. Very new. Daniel, standing beside the old bell rope. Written underneath, "Bell Keeper Candidate." What the hell does that mean? A floorboard creaked above. Ethan climbed faster. At the top of the tower, the giant bell hung motionless, but someone stood beside it. The old man from Hollow Road, holding the lantern. "You followed the footprints," the man said quietly. Ethan stared. "You disappeared." The old man ignored the question. Instead, he pointed toward the fog outside. From the tower, Ethan could finally see beyond the village. His blood ran cold. Hollow Village wasn't surrounded by forest. It was surrounded by endless fog. Nothing else. No roads. No mountains. No world outside. Only white emptiness. This place shouldn't exist, Ethan whispered. The old man nodded slowly. It doesn't. Then he pointed beneath the bell. Scratched into the wooden floor were hundreds of names. Ethan searched quickly, then found it. Daniel Carter. Below it, today's date. The old man looked directly into Ethan's eyes and whispered, "The bell chooses who stays." Suddenly, the giant bell moved by itself. The ONG. And below the tower, every villager appeared at once, standing silently, looking up at Ethan. The bell tower shook. The ONG. The sound rolled across Hollow Village like thunder. Ethan stumbled backward. Below him, every villager stood motionless, watching, not speaking, not moving, just staring. Then all at once, they turned away and walked back into the fog. "What is happening?" Ethan asked. The old man holding the lantern remained silent. His eyes stayed fixed on the endless white surrounding the village. "You shouldn't stay up here after the bell rings." Ethan grabbed the man's arm. "You know my brother. Tell me what happened to him." For the first time, the old man looked afraid. He heard her. Before Ethan could ask, the lantern flame suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the tower. Then came footsteps. Not below, not outside, inside the tower. Slow, dragging, moving upward. The old man whispered, "Don't look at her face." A woman's voice floated upward from the stairs. Soft, broken, almost singing. Ethan's chest tightened. He knew that voice. Impossible. Mom! The footsteps stopped. His mother had died 10 years ago. The voice came again. "Ethan, come here." The staircase below disappeared into thick fog. Something pale slowly emerged from it. A woman. Long dark hair. Bare feet. Wearing an old white dress stained gray with dirt. Her movements looked wrong. Too slow. Too smooth. Like water flowing uphill. The old man backed away. "You must not answer her." But Ethan couldn't move. The woman lifted her head. Where her face should have been, there was nothing. No eyes. No mouth. Only smooth skin stretched across empty features. Yet somehow, she smiled. The tower suddenly groaned. Wood cracked beneath Ethan's feet. The faceless woman pointed toward the village well, then toward Ethan, then whispered without a mouth, "He's waiting below." The giant bell rang violently. The ONG. The entire tower shook. The old man grabbed Ethan. "We have to leave now." As they rushed down the stairs, Ethan looked back once. The woman remained beside the bell, watching, without eyes, without a face, and beneath the tower. The fog around the village well had started moving, circling, like something underneath was trying to come out. The bell tower disappeared behind them as Ethan and the old man ran through the village. Fog rolled across the streets faster now. Not drifting, hunting. Every house they passed had already shut its doors. Wooden shutters slammed closed. Chains rattled. Candles vanished behind curtains. The entire village was hiding from something. Ethan looked toward the center of Hollow Village. The old well. Fog circled around it like a living storm. "What's under there?" Ethan shouted. The old man kept walking. "You don't ask about the well." That woman pointed there. The old man suddenly stopped. For the first time, anger crossed his face, and everyone who followed her ended up inside it. A loud metallic sound echoed through the village. CLANG. Ethan turned. The bell tower rope was moving by itself. Again, the ONG. Villagers began rushing indoors even faster. An old woman dropped groceries. a child started crying. Nobody stopped. Nobody looked back. The old man grabbed Ethan. We locked the doors before the third bell. Why? The old man whispered. Because after the third bell, they walk. Cold air swept through the street. Then Ethan noticed movement at the far end of the road. Shapes, tall figures, standing motionless inside the fog, watching. More shapes appeared, near rooftops, beside houses, near windows. Too many. Ethan counted at least 20. None moved until the ONG. Third bell. Every figure lifted its head. At once, the old man pulled Ethan inside the cottage and slammed the door shut. Chains locked. Furniture pushed against windows. Candles extinguished. Darkness. Outside. Footsteps began. Slow. Dragging. Circling the house. One step. Then another. Then many. Ethan peeked through a crack in the window. His breathing stopped. Dozens of figures walked through the village streets. Not villagers. Not human. Long arms. Bent limbs. Faces hidden beneath fog. And among them, someone stood beside the well, wearing Daniel's jacket. This time, Daniel looked directly at Ethan, then slowly pointed downward, toward the inside of the well. A scratching noise suddenly came from under the cottage floor. The old woman dropped to her knees, terrified, then whispered. They found the tunnels. The scratching beneath the floor grew louder, slow, deliberate, like fingernails dragging across old wood. Ethan stepped back from the center of the cottage. Something's under us. The old woman nodded weakly. The tunnels. The old man grabbed his rifle again. You were never supposed to hear them. Another scratch. Closer. Dust fell from the wooden floorboards. Then, a soft voice came from below. Ethan. Daniel. Again. Ethan's chest tightened. That's him. The old man slammed the rifle stock against the floor. Bang! The voice stopped. Silence returned. Then the old man walked toward the fireplace. He moved an old cabinet aside, revealing an iron hatch hidden beneath a worn rug. Ethan stared. There's a tunnel under the house. The old woman whispered. There are tunnels under the entire village. The hatch slowly opened. Cold air rushed upward. Not cold like winter. Cold like underground places untouched for years. The old man lit the lantern. You wanted answers. He looked directly at Ethan. Then come. They climbed down rusted steps into darkness. Below the village stretched narrow tunnels reinforced with old wood beams. Names were carved everywhere. Hundreds of names. Some fresh, some ancient. Ethan ran his fingers across one section, then stopped. Daniel Carter. Scratched recently. Next to it, a strange symbol. A circle crossed by 3 lines. The same symbol from the bell tower, Ethan whispered. The old man stayed quiet. The tunnels continued beneath Hollow Village, beneath houses, beneath roads, beneath the well. Then Ethan noticed something strange. Footprints. Dozens. Small footprints. Children. Leading forward. Deeper underground. The tunnel suddenly widened into an enormous chamber. Ethan raised the lantern and froze. Hundreds of old toys covered the ground. Wooden horses, broken dolls, tiny shoes, children's drawings nailed to tunnel walls. One drawing showed the village, covered in fog. Another showed tall figures standing outside homes. Then Ethan saw the final drawing. A giant hole beneath the village, and children falling into it. What is this place? Ethan whispered. The old man finally answered. This is where Hollow Village feeds the fog. Before Ethan could react, a loud metallic sound echoed above them. The ONG. The bell. Again. But this time, the sound came from below too. Something deep underground answered the bell. The chamber floor trembled. Tiny pebbles rolled across the ground. Then from the darkness ahead, children started laughing. Dozens of voices, and one familiar voice among them. "You finally came, Ethan." "Daniel." Very close, very deep in the tunnels. The laughter echoed through the underground chamber. Children, dozens of them, some close, some impossibly far away. Ethan raised the lantern higher. The tunnel ahead twisted downward into darkness. Then Daniel's voice returned. "Clearer now. Keep walking." Ethan moved forward. The old man grabbed his shoulder. "No further. You said you'd show me the truth." The old man's face looked older than before, almost exhausted. "The truth is why nobody escapes." Ethan pulled away and kept walking. The tunnel narrowed. The air became colder. Soon the walls changed from dirt to stone. Old stone, hand-carved, ancient. Symbols covered every surface. Circles, eyes, bell shapes, and hundreds of handprints, small handprints, children's handprints. Then the tunnel opened. Ethan froze. Before him stood another village. Not houses, ruins, collapsed buildings buried underground. An entire village hidden beneath hollow village. Wooden signs lay broken across the ground. Rotting rooftops sank into black mud. And at the center, an old entrance sign, half destroyed. Ethan brushed it away. The faded letters became visible. "Welcome to Hollow Village." His heart stopped. "This village is underneath the village." The old man finally spoke. "No." His lantern shook slightly. "This is the real village." Cold silence filled the ruins. Ethan looked around. "This makes no sense." The old man pointed upward. The village above was built later. Why? To keep people from leaving. Ethan stared, then noticed something nailed to one ruined wall. Newspaper pages. Hundreds of them. Old. Yellowed. He grabbed one. "Local village lost in heavy fog minus 1,958. Another headline. "Search teams find nothing." Another. "Whole community disappears." Ethan's hands trembled. This village vanished decades ago. The old man nodded slowly. Everyone here disappeared. Ethan looked back toward the houses above, toward the villagers, toward Hollow Village. Then who are the people living here? The lantern flame flickered violently, then went blue. The old man whispered. They never left. A distant bell rang underground. The ONG. The ruined village suddenly echoed with footsteps. Many footsteps. Coming from empty houses. Doors slowly opened by themselves. And from the center square, people began walking out. Villagers, covered in dirt, wearing clothes from another time. Their eyes empty, their movements slow. Among them, Daniel stepped forward, smiling, but not quite right. Then he spoke. "You should have stayed away." Daniel stood in the middle of the underground village, unchanged. Same jacket, same face, same calm expression, as if he had never disappeared. Ethan slowly stepped forward. "Daniel." His brother smiled. "You came." Ethan's chest tightened. For weeks, this moment was all he wanted. He moved closer, then stopped. Daniel's clothes were clean. Too clean. No dirt. No damage. Nothing. Meanwhile, everyone else around him looked wrong. The villagers emerging from ruined houses moved slowly, their eyes empty, their skin pale, like people trapped between sleeping and waking. Ethan swallowed hard. "How are you alive?" Daniel looked around the underground village, then answered quietly, "I never left." A distant bell echoed. The ONG. The underground ruins trembled. Dust fell from broken rooftops. The old man holding the lantern suddenly looked terrified. "We have to go." Daniel's smile disappeared. No, fog began leaking into the underground village. Not from above, from cracks in the ground. Thin streams at first, then thicker. Moving between buildings. Crawling. Alive. Ethan backed away. What is happening? Daniel looked toward the spreading fog. It's hungry. The villagers around them suddenly stopped moving. All at once, their heads slowly turned upward toward Ethan, toward the outsider. The old man grabbed Ethan's arm. The bell chose again. Another tremor shook the ruins, this time stronger. Pieces of stone crashed from old walls. Then Ethan heard screaming, coming from above, from Hollow Village. Villagers, running, crying. The fog had reached the surface. Daniel stepped closer. You still don't understand. Ethan stared. Then tell me. Daniel pointed toward the villagers surrounding them. Every year the fog comes closer. Another bell. The ONG. The villagers' empty expressions changed. Fear. Real fear. Daniel whispered. And every year, it takes someone to stay behind. Suddenly, children's laughter filled the underground village again. But now Ethan could see them. Dozens of children standing inside the fog, watching, smiling, not blinking. Then one child pointed behind Ethan. He turned. The tunnel they used to enter, gone. Only fog remained. And deep inside it, massive shapes moved slowly, far larger than anything Ethan had seen before. The old man's lantern flickered violently, then went dark. Total darkness swallowed the ruins, and Daniel whispered somewhere nearby, "It knows your name now." Darkness covered the underground ruins. Only distant laughter echoed through the fog. Ethan couldn't see. Daniel couldn't see the old man, only breathing, his own breathing, fast and even. Then, a small flame appeared, the lantern. The old man relit it with shaking hands. Its weak light revealed something horrifying. The fog had stopped moving, not because it disappeared, because it was watching. Shapes filled the white mist, tall, thin, standing perfectly still around the ruined village. Waiting. Ethan swallowed hard. What are they? The old man answered quietly. The reason Hollow Village died. Daniel stepped from the darkness, his expression no longer calm, only tired. Very tired. You deserve the truth now. The ground trembled beneath them. Dust drifted from broken rooftops. Daniel pointed toward the center of the underground village, toward the giant hole shown in the children's drawings. It wasn't small. It was enormous. A black pit cutting through the ruins. Endless, cold air poured from inside. Ethan stepped closer. The lantern light never reached the bottom. What is this? Daniel looked down. No one knows. The old man slowly removed his hat. My grandfather called it the Hollow. Another tremor shook the chamber. Pieces of stone fell into the pit. No sound came back. To deep. Daniel finally spoke. Decades ago, children began hearing voices. Ethan remembered. The voices, the whispers, his own name. The villagers thought it was spirits. Daniel continued. So they followed them. Daniel nodded. Children disappeared first, then adults, then entire families. The villagers panicked. They rang the bell every night hoping to drive the voices away. Instead, something answered. Deep inside the pit, the ONG. A bell echoed from below, not from the tower, from inside the hollow. Ethan stepped backward. That's impossible. The old man looked toward the pit. After that night, fog covered everything. Daniel continued. The village disappeared in 1958. Ethan looked around, but the people above. A copy. Daniel interrupted. Echoes. The villagers living above ground. The routines. The houses. Everything repeating. Like Hollow Village never realized it already died. Cold silence followed. Then Ethan asked the question that terrified him most. Why did it bring me here? Daniel looked directly into his eyes. Because I refused. Ethan froze. Daniel slowly rolled up his sleeve. Dark marks covered his arm. Symbols. Moving. Like living ink. The fog chooses someone to remain connected to the hollow. Ethan's chest tightened. No. Daniel nodded. I was supposed to replace the bellkeeper. The old man whispered. And now the fog chose again. Suddenly, the giant pit moved, not inside it, the pit itself. The ground around it shifted, like something below was breathing. Children's voices filled the ruins, hundreds of them, repeating one sentence, "Ring the bell." Then the lantern light reached the bottom for 1 second, and Ethan saw it. Thousands of eyes looking up. Thousands of eyes stared upward from inside the hollow, blinking, moving, watching. Ethan stumbled backward. His legs almost gave out beneath him. That's impossible. Daniel grabbed his shoulder. You weren't supposed to see it. The ground shook violently. Cracks spread across the underground village. Old buildings collapsed into the pit. The fog around them thickened. Hungry, growing. The old man lifted the lantern toward the enormous bell hanging above the ruined square. For the first time, Ethan noticed it. There was another bell, hidden underground, older than the tower above, covered with symbols, children's handprints, names, thousands of names. The first bell, the old man whispered. Daniel looked at Ethan. The village above only copies what happens here. Ethan stared at the pit, at the tower. You said the bell chooses. Daniel nodded slowly. It always needs someone. The voices from below grew louder. Children laughing, villagers crying, people screaming, all mixed together. Then one voice cut through everything. Ethan, not Daniel, not the fog, his mother. Again, Ethan covered his ears. The old man suddenly dropped to one knee. Dark marks spread across his neck. The same symbols Daniel had. His breathing became weaker. I can't hold it much longer. Ethan looked at him. Hold what? The old man pointed at the bell. For 50 years, I kept it sleeping. Silence. Then realization hit Ethan. You're the bellkeeper. The old man nodded. I was. The ground cracked beneath him. His lantern fell into the hollow. The weak light disappeared into darkness. No bottom. No sound. Nothing. Daniel stepped forward. The keeper connects the village to the bell. And if there's no keeper? Ethan asked. Daniel looked toward the pit. The fog spreads. Above them, the underground ceiling cracked open. Fog poured downward from Hollow Village. Screams echoed from the surface. The village above was collapsing. The copies were disappearing. One by one, the children inside the fog began chanting, "Ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell." The old man forced himself up, his body shaking, then handed Ethan the lantern. For the first time, the flame burned blue. You came here for your brother. He looked toward Daniel. Now choose. Ethan stared at the bell rope, then at Daniel, then at the endless eyes below. The fog surged upward. The giant underground bell moved slightly. Ready. Waiting. Daniel whispered, "Whatever happens next, ring it only once." The underground bell waited. Silent. Massive. Ancient. Fog surged from the hollow like waves crashing against ruined buildings. Children's voices echoed everywhere. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Ring the bell. Ethan tightened his grip around the blue lantern. His eyes moved between Daniel, the old man, and the endless pit filled with watching eyes. There has to be another way. Daniel slowly shook his head. There never was. Cracks spread beneath their feet. The underground village was collapsing. Above them, pieces of Hollow Village rained downward. The copies, the houses, the people. Everything built above the truth was finally breaking apart. The old bellkeeper dropped to his knees, his breathing weak. The connection is failing. Ethan looked toward the bell rope. One ring, one choice. Daniel stepped closer. For the first time since Ethan found him, he looked like his real brother again. Not strange, not distant, just Daniel. You need to leave. Ethan's voice shook. I'm not leaving you here. Daniel smiled sadly. You already did. Silence. Then Ethan understood. Daniel had never sent the postcard for help. He sent it as a warning. The fog shifted violently. From inside the hollow, something enormous moved upward. Thousands of eyes rising, watching, waiting. The children's voices turned into screams. The old bell keeper shouted. Now, Ethan pulled the rope. The underground bell rang. The ONG. The sound exploded through everything. Fog froze. The eyes vanished. The ground cracked apart. Daniel looked at Ethan one last time, then smiled. Go home. The world collapsed. Rain hit Ethan's face. Cold rain. Real rain. He opened his eyes. He was lying beside his car, on an empty road. Morning sunlight broke through clouds. No fog. No village. Nothing. Only forest. Ethan stood slowly. Ahead stood the old wooden sign. Broken. Rotting. Almost unreadable. He brushed dirt away. His hands froze. The sign no longer said Hollow Village. It read, Abandoned area closed since 1958. Ethan looked around. No houses. No roads. No bell tower. Nothing. Had it ended? Then he noticed something inside his jacket pocket. A photograph. Him and Daniel. But now, someone else stood behind them. The old bell keeper, holding a lantern. On the back of the photo were fresh words written in shaky handwriting. When the fog returns, ring the bell once. Far away in the forest, a bell echoed. The ONG. The end. Some villages disappear from maps. Others disappear from memory. But somewhere beyond the fog, Hollow Village is still waiting. Subscribe to NightLore for more forgotten legends hidden in the dark.